In 2022, the Association of Southeast Asian Nations established a working group to develop the first ever regional instrument to safeguard the people and environment in Southeast Asia. The ASEAN Declaration on Environmental Rights is currently being deliberated on by the ASEAN Intergovernmental Commission on Human Rights, or ICHAR. At this stage, civil society has raised the need for pressing revisions in the draft to truly address the worsening environmental conditions in Southeast Asia. Over the past 46 years, Southeast Asia has experienced 87% of the world's total disasters. Extreme weather events continue to devastate communities, especially in climate-vulnerable coastal nations along the Pacific Ocean, like the Philippines, Vietnam, and Malaysia. Widespread deforestation has raised emissions and triggered transboundary haze, spreading pollution across borders, as seen in Sumatra, impacting Indonesia, Malaysia, and Singapore. Unfortunately, many projects which are promoted for the economic development of the region have come at the expense of our environment and local communities, often indigenous and marginalized groups. This is called development aggression. An example is Cambodia's system of economic land concessions, which have driven the land grabbing and destruction of agricultural lands, converting them into rubber and other commercial plantations. Meanwhile, 2 years into the military junta's takeover of Myanmar, harmful extractive industries have expanded to fuel the junta's brutal rule, accompanied by numerous violations of human rights, arbitrary arrests, and mass killings. The building of mega dams along the Mekong River has also contributed to the displacement of communities, flooding of forests, and polluting of downstream rivers. As Southeast Asia's environment deteriorates, resource depletion fuels conflicts that violate basic human rights, including the right to a clean, safe, healthy, and sustainable environment. Civil and political rights are under threat as environmental human rights defenders, or EHRDs, face risks like threats, unlawful arrests, abductions, and killings. Despite international recognition, they struggle in shrinking civic spaces under authoritarian regimes and flawed democracies. Since 2012, 2,106 environmental defenders have been killed globally, with Southeast Asia having 351 deaths. Furthermore, EHRDs in the region have also faced over 200 cases of judicial harassment, wherein legal systems are used against them to silence their dissent, usually in the form of false or unjust charges and unlawful detentions. The intensifying degradation of our environment and attacks on environmental and human rights defenders must be addressed in order to protect our resources and make it sustainable for future generations. The ASEAN Declaration on Environmental Rights should lead in the efforts to protect the environment and EHRDs, but the current draft is still inadequate. In response, EHRDs, civil society, and indigenous groups crafted an ASEAN Peoples Declaration on Environmental Rights, a benchmark for what we want as a genuine regional instrument for environmental rights. The initial draft of the People's Declaration has already been submitted to the ICHAR for consideration, but is still a working document open for further inputs from civil society. As the People's Declaration may be a turning point to protect our environmental and human rights, it is still in our capacity as civil society to support its adoption and continue to actively campaign for our environment and future generations. We have come far, but the fight for environmental rights isn't over. Like the brave defenders fighting for our planet despite threats, we must stand with them. Now is the time to raise our voices and act to protect both people and the planet. Our collective commitment can make a difference. Learn more on how you can act for environmental rights. Together, we can secure a safe and healthy future for the peoples and environments of Southeast Asia and beyond.